the reason I said attempt is because you are very much so larger than life. I know, girl, you got be ready to take these compliments, girl, because I got them lined up. They locked and loaded, okay? Because I have had the privilege of one, we had a beautiful conversation just the other day. And I did go to high school with Beatrice Carey. However, we were not close in high school. We did not connect too much. You know, there was not a friendship established back then. But just because of social media, we have found ourselves reconnected, you know, because of our networks and whatnot. And we had the opportunity to catch up. And let me say that since high school, did you graduate in 2008 as well?
No, 2009.
2009. Okay, well,
Yeah.
since knowing this woman, since seeing her in high school, okay, in the last decade plus, you have achieved and accomplished so much. And you're a wonderful conversationalist. You are very eloquent. You express yourself in such a fun and just open way that our conversation the other day, the things that you shared with me, I'm humbled. You didn't have to share all that. And you did. And everything that you said, y'all, listen, it was like every two sentences, I had a new reason to invite you to have this conversation on the podcast. Every two sentences, I was like, somebody needs to hear that. Somebody needs to hear that. Somebody needs to hear that. Jesus. And I'm just, seriously, I'm humbled. And I thank you for being willing to reconnect and be so open in that way. Beatrice Carey, Bea Carey Arts, a fine artist, a fine woman, as you can see. I'm saying she's fine, but anyway. But I can't say that too many times because the dudes is going to try to holler and they all need to know that you up here with your dope behind man. You know what I'm saying? You got a dope man in your corner. So,
Yeah.
shout
Yeah.
out Chris Carter.
You little something.
He's so dope, and so are you. So it's only right. It's only right that the two of you ended up together. So I'm really excited for how this conversation is about to go. But thank you for your time and for joining us. I hope you're as excited as I am.
I am. That's why I keep making these weird faces. So just get used to.
I
I'm
love it.
extremely expressive. Your viewers are gonna be like, or listeners, viewers, whatever, gonna be like, yo, why she keep making up faces? What's
That's
going
fine.
on?
Well, look, listen, I'm feeling like we're rekindling something here because I feel so comfortable talking to you because we are similar in a few ways. The viewers and listeners are used to the crazy faces and sound effects. I definitely have a quirk to the way that I express myself as well. Which I did an interview the other day, and my friend who interviewed me called me quirky in my introduction, and I was just kind of like, is that a compliment? But I think it is.
Look,
I think quirky is just a short word for unique.
yeah, eccentric, unique, out there. It's okay.
Yes.
I accept them all.
I accept them all. Amen for acceptance. So if you could do me a favor, I know how I want to start this conversation. And just to give a general overview, I would like to go backwards. I would like to talk about where you are today. And then I want to gradually rewind and dig into some of your experiences throughout your teenage years. Well, let me say young adulthood, then teenage years, then childhood, and really dissect the things that you have had to go through and yet you are truly on top today, despite some obstacles that you have had to face. Extremely inspirational stuff. And again, I'm grateful that you're here and willing to kind of speak on all of it. But before we dig, if there were to just be a bullet point list of all that you are and of all that you're capable of, what does that list look like to you? Like it's just let's say that it's a bio, but take out all the extra words and just be like, I'm Bea, I do this, I can do this, and this, and this.
All
Tell me
right.
that.
So we just bare bones in it. So first, foremost, I am a practicing artist, and when I say that, I do not just use one form of art. So I just make sure y'all can hear me.
No, you're
So
good.
okay, cool. So I use currently at the moment photography. I use printmaking, painting, drawing techniques. So anywhere from stippling to using doodles to create portraits. I love expressive portraits and anything to do with the face. I am a curator, and I do not use that term loosely. When I say curator, I can either curate a space, an installation, an exhibition, a look. Most of the stuff that you see on my Instagram or in my artwork, I've curated. Some people say style, whatever. I say curate because it's a concept that I'm curating. So I can curate a whole look, top to bottom, earrings, hair. You'll see with my portraits.
Mm-hmm.
I am. I am a PhD student. I am an educator at the moment. So right now I'm an adjunct professor, um, as well as doing my PhD, as well as being a research assistant. I'm not as confident in, but I've been doing it for like 2.5 years at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I am a traveler. I emphasis on traveler. I'm not a tourist. I mean, this list isn't like that extensive.
You're
I've
fine.
been to 6 different countries. I've lived in England. I have traveled to Paris multiple times. I have been to Amsterdam, and no, I didn't do any illegal substances. Um, I have
Mm-hmm.
been to multiple cities in Germany. I've been to Switzerland, and I've been all around Italy quite often.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so I am a traveler. I do other things. So I used to dance. I used to do spoken word. Um, but like if I'm gonna, yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Wow.
There's more, but yeah. It,
Also a God-fearing woman.
oh, of course, that was implied.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
I was
Also an amazing girlfriend. I'm sure soon to be fiance. I'm sure soon to be wife. If
I
he's
probably
smart.
I drive that man crazy. It's okay. Oh, I'll say entrepreneur. I am an entrepreneur.
Yes.
So, when it comes to my arts and printmaking, so I actually do for a while. I made and hand printed book bags, T-shirts, mini bags, and everything like that. Do I
Nice.
feel like getting up? No, I don't. Um,
It's okay.
and so I did that internationally for a while. Um, yeah, so I do things
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, and also with photography, you all can book me and all the other good jazz. But I feel like I've been
Do
talking
it.
a lot about myself, so it's weird. So I'm gonna stop.
Girlfriend, this whole interview about to be you talking about yourself.
I know.
So add that to the
Oh,
list. I'm humble and
oh, and I'm a very, very proud Zeta, finer womanhood.
yes.
So yeah, that's some things that I do.
Thank you for that list. Wait, you made this? Is that a bag?
Yeah, that's a book bag. It's hand printed.
Beatrice,
So.
that is breathtaking.
And then there's two other styles of this. I have mini backpacks of it. And then I have not t-shirts in that same style, but I've done shirts. So that's what I say by I don't like when people just call me, "Oh, you're a photographer." And I'm like,
Oh, no,
"No.
she's not just that.
I
So
am a
wait a second.
practicing
How
artist."
many pieces would you have to sell right now?
I have a lot more shirts to sell. So I have about probably like 25 and maybe even close to 30 shirts that I can sell. Backpacks. Do I have actually I have a lot of these kind of backpacks in like a messenger bag for anyone who likes black pop culture.
Yo, wait. Can you put it closer to the camera, please? Okay, so how much would that go for?
We're gonna say this is gonna go for 70.
Girl, I'm really wanting everyone to see and hear this because somebody watching and listening is ready to buy that bag right now. I know it.
Oh, this is one of 3 styles. So I have another one that has a different world on it. I have another one that has I think Keenan and Kel is the other stuff. So like
Yes.
it's a collage of Black 90s TV shows.
That one. Whichever one has Keenan and Kel on it. Does it have Keenan and Kel and Fresh Prince?
That's a great question. I don't believe so. I have stuff under the bed, but we can talk more underneath.
Girl.
But yeah, and they are 70 because they're each one of a kind. These
Yeah.
were hand printed by me.
Handmade.
Yeah. So
Beatrice,
yeah,
those are awesome.
and
Awesome.
so yeah.
Wow. So here's what I want to say. I
Sorry, it's all
specifically
shaky.
asked for that. No, you're fine. I had specifically asked for that bullet point list because the purpose of this podcast is to acknowledge that those are all of the things that essentially if I were to Google your name, I could see that you do. My purpose in recognizing you and how beautiful your spirit is, how strong your spirit is to say there's a lot to be said for the fact that you have accomplished and that you carry out that long list of things, despite things that you've been through, despite any of your circumstances, or just despite not being courageous enough or not having the energy. Because That long list just winded me, and I'm very much so over here like, wait, where does she have the energy to do all of those things? I could never.
I really don't have the
And
energy.
yet here you are, you know? Amazing. So, let's start with your time in England. And then we can go backwards from there. I understand that based on what you were going through when you started school there was a person in your life that befriended you, that supported you, that saw your potential, that was there for you every step of the way, that was making sure that you did not give up on yourself, that was making sure that you were safe. And I understand that this person may be here specifically to be the voice to let a lot of people know that I'm not the only one that wants to highlight you. You deserve to be highlighted by this gentleman as well.
What up?
What up?
I can see it in your face. You ain't see it coming.
This is beautiful.
I didn't, loser.
I just got done trying to speak your praises, Chris. She didn't let me do it, but I tried to make sure I let everyone know you two are both such dope individuals. Beatrice, this is my purpose. Like, the world's got to see how bright you shine, how strong you are, all the things you accomplished. And I love that Chris was willing to come on and surprise you.
So it was a little bit about a year before she actually came back from England.
Okay.
'Cause she was in England for what, like 2-3 years before we connected.
Yeah,
And
towards the end of my 4th year.
yeah, so
Yeah, going
it
into
was
mine.
you know, she I was coming off a bad situation, and I was, you know, getting my
That's what
life
you gonna call
together.
it.
I was getting back with with my life and trying to figure out my next moves and such. And then, you know, just one day I looked on my phone and, you know, somebody had slid on my DMs on Facebook.
Don't be telling people that.
Oh, are you a DM slider, Beatrice?
Don't be telling people that. No, I
Slid right on
contacted
in
them
there.
to get closure. Okay, to get
I'll just let
closure.
you two. I'll let you two go.
All right. So she says it's for closure.
Okay, what y'all don't know is way back in the day, me and him dated briefly, and you know he broke my heart suddenly, and like it was like a snap of a finger. He was like, "Yeah, I'm done," and that was no way to break up with somebody. And talked to me for 8 years, left me hanging in the friend zone, friend request for 8 years.
Wait. The friend zone friend request, like you never hit accept.
Nah, I am. I
I
don't
can't
know if
deal with
I'm
this.
more infamous. I was gonna say famous for, but I'm more infamous for just leaving people in the firm. Like, you can send me a firm request. I've got probably 100 people in my firm request right now that have been sitting there for years, just because I don't really know if I want that person to be on my friend list. Like, I don't know if I
He
want to see
left.
your posts. I don't. So, but no, you gotta understand. Like, when we dated the first time,
His
she
soulmate
was.
in limbo for 8 years. Remember that. You
We
could
dated
be
the first time.
leaving your soulmate
You
in your
were you were like 19, 20. I was like 24. So we're still pretty young and dumb. So you do dumb stuff when you're young. But you know, when she hit me on Messenger and we started messaging back and forth, and she was like, "Hey, can I call you?" At this time, like, I'm not even thinking about the fact that it's like 8, 9 o'clock here, and she's over in London. I'm not thinking about the time difference. So it's like it's gotta be like 1 o'clock in the morning over there. I'm not even thinking about, yo, what you doing up so late texting me? Like, I don't have, it's not on my thought process. But you know, I'm like, whatever. Let's talk. I guess. Like I said, I was coming out of a bad place, so you know, talking to somebody from my past to try to have an understanding on me, possibly, it wasn't out of the question. So just we
Right.
started talking and talking and talking. Tried to hang up. It was almost like we was at Baptist church trying to close, because it was so many times we tried to get off the phone that by the time we actually did, for me, it was like 4, 5 in the morning, and we had been on the phone for like 8 hours straight, just talking, catching up, talking about what she's been doing, what I've been doing, and it was at that point we just
That's
realized,
an
oh no,
entire work shift. Did
exactly.
anybody get paid for the time y'all spent on the phone?
And it wasn't like it was, how you be on the phone and you got that dead silence where you don't know what to
Oh
say.
no.
And
Because if you had the
no,
dead silence, maybe you would have hung up. Nope.
no, it was a straight conversation. And I'm a night person, so it's not really anything for
Clearly.
me to stay up late.
But
Uh,
I heard about grandma. I heard about grandma over here.
yeah, she go to bed early.
Shut up! Don't be talking about me. I start my day early. Okay.
She go down when the sun go down and get up when the sun get up. That's
There we go. Well, with that being said, I don't want to keep either one of you entirely too long. Chris, I would love to know, after speaking to her, having that initial conversation for 8 hours plus, what are the characteristics, what are the qualities, what are the traits that shine from within her that put you in the position that you're in right now?
so. One of the crazy things about getting into a long distance friendship that turns into a long distance relationship is that there's no physicality. Like there's no, you have such a distance between you and the other person that all you
Right.
can do is talk. You get to learn about that person, about things you probably wouldn't learn about for, if it was say we're here, I'm going to see you every day or whatever, you might not get to learn about those things because the physical presence actually gets in the way. Then you're worried about other things. But when you're just on a phone, you don't see the person, and all you have to communicate is your words. And you got to think of clever things to do or say to make the conversation interesting. You just end up learning about each other. So, what I can say, like qualities, is that she's definitely a very determined woman. Definitely a very determined black woman.
Amen.
Black. She black. Blackity black. Black, black, black. And if you don't know, you will find out very soon
What
after
makes you
meeting her.
emphasize that as much as you
Um,
did, Chris?
because when anything comes up that has to do with blackness or
Hmm.
non-blackness, we will hear about it.
Oh yes, as we
Like we'll,
should. As we should.
like we could be watching just something real regular. Hmm, had to be the black guy. What? Like,
I,
so
I put my watch on because I refuse to get a watch unless it was supporting Black people. So
she
this is a
saw
Black History watch.
Amen.
she saw that watch. She was like, I want that one because it's black. She was the leader of Black History Month over there at her
Yeah.
school.
Oh yeah,
Black
I forgot that
History
title.
Month.
I was the
Um,
Black History Program director.
Amen.
all her artwork is black. If you don't know about her artwork, she ain't black. Then you got a problem. Um, so, but that's why I say the emphasis on black because she's proud of her blackness and she puts it on display, and she helps others put that on black. She helps others realize their blackness. Like, hey,
Amen.
it's cool to be black. You black, accept it. You can't
Accept it.
change it.
Walk in it.
You can't change your blackness, so be black. Um, Also very intelligent. I mean, topper class, and I don't know what's the distinction. She
Yeah.
graduated with distinction. Got to remember that because it's different over there than it is over here. Um, and then also, I'm not a college graduate. I took some college, but I didn't graduate because. But to be able to, it made me feel good because it was like, hey, I'm smart enough to help somebody that got a master's. Um, but at the same time, it's just like she's able to challenge me intellectually,
Mm.
and somehow I'm able to do the same
Mm.
because I'm more street smart. She got the book smarts. She's smart. She's smart. We have conversations. Rowan is going to owe me some kind of certificate when she graduates because I know stuff that I should not care about. That's all I'm going to say. Like, I should not care about some of this stuff, but it challenges me to think about things that I don't normally think about. Like,
Mm.
some of the things that she studies make me go, when I think of a show now, I got to think about what's the implications of what I might say on the show What are we going to discuss that's going to be
Some
this
would
important?
say she makes you a better man, Chris. Is that true?
This is true. She forces me to. I have to be. I have
Amen.
no choice. And at the same time, I gotta keep pushing her to be better because sometimes, she'll want to receive, and I'll be like, "No, you can't. I just want to give up. Shut up. You're not doing that. It's not happening on my watch. I'm sorry. Get up. Get your work done."
Beautiful.
So as you can hear, even with all I accomplished, sometimes I do need a push, and that's normal. And yeah, when you get into a relationship, you're supposed to sharpen each other. It's not supposed to be one-sided because then it's going to drag you down and pull you down. And that's okay. That he gets to learn some words and understand, things like gaslighting and praxis and pedagogy.
She had me
Yes.
reading one of her papers. Like, do you understand this? And I'm like, no.
Because if you don't, we breaking up. Is that what happened?
I'm reading it like, yeah, I gotta guess at the meaning of some of this stuff. I gotta get context clues because you just using all the $20 and $50 words that I gotta. Hold on, let me Google this real quick because I don't remember what that means in this context. So let me just okay. Like I told her, I was
Got it
like,
now. Got it.
she did a paper, like in the paper, she said something about gaslighting, and I was like, you know, I thought I knew what gaslighting was, but because I read it in your paper, I had to watch a video detailing what gaslighting was because I wasn't sure when I was reading the papers. It was like, let me, so, making me study for work I don't have to do.
Beautiful. Just to stay in this relationship with her.
Just to understand, like, okay, what are you talking about? Is this what you calling? What? I don't.
The both of you are so precious.
But it's okay. He has his moments too, because our whole TV setup, I'd be like, on. I was in a whole relationship. I was trying to
Look
get
at his
close.
face.
I was in a whole relationship. We were friends for a whole year. A whole year. But what made me kind of look at Chris
We was
differently,
friends for 7 months.
we was friends for like a whole year. But anyway, the reason I started, what?
So you rounded that up high.
Anyway, so what made me really just kind of shift my mentality and deciding to look at him in that new light was, one, I felt like I was getting more fulfillment out of our friendship than I was in the relationship that I was in. So I decided to, well, okay, I was in two relationships. So a brief rebound, I'm not gonna lie. While we were having our friendship, I was like, okay, I didn't really know. I was like, oh, I'm talking to Chris every day. Oh, Chris is checking in on me. Oh, okay.
Right.
Oh, all right. You're not. So we're going to get rid of you. And then I got into another relationship and I was like, yeah, this is not fulfilling. So I was just like, we're still friends. But after I had my little mini blow up, and he still kind of wanted me. And I was just like, oh, really? Because I'm
Right.
a little crazy right now. You still want? Okay, all right.
Right.
She was acting a little crazy too.
Touch your face. Lived in that country for as long as I did. Anyway, but I think two main things really solidified it for me with us. I know this is not the whole reason why you have me on the show to talk about
No, you're fine.
but,
We are here to learn about you no matter what. Yeah.
but the two things that really kind of solidified it for me was my final during my final weeks in my program in England. I got a lot of support from him, more than my family actually. During my finals week, I still will never forget this. Anybody who knows about me, I love flowers. My favorite flower is sunflower.
Nice.
And while he was while he was here, he had sunflowers sent to me in England.
Wow.
You do too.
And I love effort. Like I love when people put in effort. And
when they take the initiative that you clearly deserve.
yeah, and then on top of that, he helped me get some of my artist books published, or not published, but like produced for my show. And then
Wow.
and then the biggest thing was he flew over an ocean for me. I'm always gonna say that. Like I dated people here in the U.S. or in the U.K. who wouldn't even get on a bus, like a 15-minute bus ride to see me, or wouldn't even drive 15 minutes. Like he flew over a whole ocean for me,
Amazing.
attended my graduation, dealt with some family, and you know, and some of my fondest memories, which I think are at some point going to get blown up, is, at my graduation ceremony, just with my peoples. And, Chris is tall, so I'm like
Yeah.
here. And so one of my favorite pictures is just, us two, England. And another one is with not Big Ben, with the London Eye, just in the background. Like our love was international.
Right.
And so I love effort.
Wow. So when I spoke to Beatrice the other day, Chris, she mentioned that she has trouble internalizing and taking compliments. So before I let you go, if you could fill in a blank with me, maybe it won't read as a compliment. It'll just read as direct and specific information. I flew over the ocean because blank.
I flew over the ocean because I wanted to, and I also felt she needed me to. Because, like she said, she wasn't getting any kind of support from her family in a good way. And because, like, the relationship was building, and it was just like, you graduated, you need somebody there for you. She's got horror stories of other moments in her life when people should have just been there for her. So it was just like, okay, let me see if I can work this out. Because if I can't work it out, it's not going to happen. I'm practical like that. Like, if I can make it happen, I'll do it. But if I can't make it happen, I'm not going to break, my neck trying to do something I really can't do.
Right.
But it was just like, things came in alignment. I was able to find funds and, do all the things necessary to be able to fly. I was able to get people to drop me off at the airport, all types. I was able to, stuff was able to line up for me to be able to get over there because I wanted to and I felt it was necessary.
You made it happen.
Hey.
Made it happen. She deserved it.
And that, again, blew me away because, one, I love Chris for who he is, but also because he is devoted to God, especially through his regular service that he, gives, especially at the youth ministry. And part of that regular service is he doesn't take a day off on Sundays. Like, he never misses service. And he did for me.
Oh, wow. Put that into perspective for real. Wow.
Usually the only Sunday I don't go to youth service is the Sunday we don't have youth service, is usually Easter.
Right.
So usually, so for about maybe 15 years, I've only missed maybe like one Sunday a year.
Right.
Maybe one other here and there, but very few and far between. So when I told people, it was just like, I'm not going to be here this Sunday. I need you, and you all to be here because I won't be here and service still needs to happen. Everybody was like, where you going? I was like, I'm not going to be here. That's the answer. I'm not going to be here. And then, of course, they find me on Instagram posting pictures in London. Like, who he know in London? I'm like the only other black person y'all know in London. Come on now.
Right.
How many black people do you know in London that I would find? Because we have the same circles. We know the same people.
Right.
So people say questions like that. Really funny. When I posted that I was out there in London, one of our mutual friends was like, "Oh, you know London? I think Tink was out there too. You should go see her." And I'm just like, I think I put that same emoji up too.
Right.
Like he was this close to right there.
Just give it a couple more days. You'll see.
Right. You'll put two and two together. Well, I appreciate you for coming into the broadcast and being another voice, another reason, making it clear why she deserves to be highlighted. And I'm really excited to continue the conversation and get more details as far as how phenomenal she is. But thank you for backing me up. Much appreciated.
Behind every good man is a good woman. And right next to every good woman, a good man is behind her pushing her forward and putting her up on my shoulders because she's small enough for you to do that. So
You know what? Just you're so close. You're so close. Every time. Just so close.
It was
hey,
beautiful.
you still going up though.
I know. He does. Honestly, he supports me the most in my art practice right now. He is my photographer's assistant. He makes sure that my equipment doesn't take me over, and I can actually I'm serious because
Right.
some of my equipment is like literally the same height as me, if not taller.
It's bigger.
Yeah, okay.
We've got a reflector that is 5 feet wide. How tall are you? 5'2".
No, 5
Oh
foot.
wow.
I'm 5'1".
Oh, 5'1". So yeah, the reflector, she's 1 inch bigger than the modifier that we use.
Though she be, but small.
Well, yeah. So I love that he supports me in this way. So thank you, my
Clearly
love.
you deserve it. I'm so happy the two of you found one another.
Because I support you all the time.
Thank you so much, Chris. I appreciate it. We're going to go ahead and get into what led up to England and her time there and the two of you's relationship. So,
All right.
appreciate you. I'll let you go back to watching the uncle from Full House. And what's the
It's a
show?
show called The Big Shot. It's on Disney
There we
Plus.
go. Yes. Something about some kids. I saw the preview. I don't know what. Okay. I'm going to check it out. Thank you so much.
Yep.
All right. We'll see you next time. See you at the wedding.
See ya.
Bang. All right. You two are perfect for each other.
That's my home.
And you know it. And you know it. So how did you feel? Did you expect that? Did you expect that at all?
No, because it's full right out here in the living room. Just
when you and I hung up that day, it was a quick Facebook message. And I was just like, yo, we've been on the phone for over an hour. This girl is phenomenal, and I know that you believe so. So come on the show. Let's surprise her. She deserves a surprise. She deserves the ear-to-ear smile, and I want to hear from you about, why you think she's so wonderful. So
one thing about Chris is he can keep a freaking secret.
Did he just walk in the room? Is that what you looked at?
Just the worst. Like when I tell you, like when I was taking my
oh, you told me about the birthday present too, with the box that you're not allowed to touch.
I'm looking at it right now.
So,
but yeah.
England. Getting to England. Tell me what you achieved there.
Okay, so to better understand England, I'm actually going to start with my journey to England.
Do it. That was my next question. Yes,
okay.
Go.
So,
tell me everything.
So way back when, during the middle of my undergraduate studies, I met a phenomenal person. She was my manager at Build-A-Bear, and she was from Ireland, and she, told me about her brother who was couch surfing, across Australia. And I found out the website, and I decided to couch surf. I'll talk about that more later. And I met another American student who told me about how she ended up studying in England. And I was just like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to finish school and I'm going to go to England. Everybody thought I was crazy. So like, you're not going to go study in England, blah, blah, blah. So fast forward, it's the end of my senior year. And I ended up taking 2 years off before I actually studied abroad. And during those 2 years, I was just like, I worked a little bit for various places. And I was like, yeah, this working stuff is for the birds. So I decided to apply to go back to school. But I did try to apply to go back to school in America. It just wasn't happening. And then I applied in England. So I applied to 11 schools. I wasn't playing. Somebody was going to let me in.
Right.
Somebody was going to let me in.
Exactly.
So, and so I did get accepted. And then reality set in, because they have, it's not that they have crazy like visa restrictions, but if you don't have money, it hurts a little bit.
Yeah.
So I found out, I got my acceptance. I went through, several interviews, and I got my acceptance into Kingston University, and I accepted my place. But when I took a deeper look at the visa process, I needed to save about $14,000 and have it sit in my account for about a month, as well as being able to have $1,500 to apply. And so after I had like this whole big fit of, oh my gosh, I'm poor, what am I going to do? I had a great best friend who was just like, I will help you, and I'll loan you whatever you can't come up with. but it was a matter of pride for me. So to see somebody who was willing to loan me that really kind of motivated me. So for the next 10 months, I worked 3 jobs plus sold artwork. I did not take any days off, and I did this without a car. So I walked 2 miles to work and 2 miles back every day. I worked at Rowan for about like my day was, I would wake up around 6 a.m., make sure I left the house no later than 8 a.m. to be at work, start my work at 8:30 in the morning. Then I would finish up at 2:30, catch the bus to my next job at Magnolia Public School, where I was after school care until about 6:30, 7:30. Then I would walk home and then do it all over again. Then my weekends, I worked at CVS and I would pull double shifts. So I would most of the times I would be open to close, or be a 12 to 10 or something like that. And I did that all while walking back and forth, rain, snow, whew, rain. There was at one point in time, excuse me, where it was like I was drenched. It was downpouring, and I walked into work just completely drenched. At one point during our break room, I had to squeeze out my uniform and leave it to dry in the bathroom because it was just that soaked. And I was working that whole entire shift just drenched, but I still did it. I'm very proud of myself. And in 10 months, I saved up $13,000 to be able to fund my dream. And even until the day before I left, I worked up until the day before I left for my flight. I probably would have worked the day of if I could have. And it's funny because nobody believed me. Nobody believed that I was actually going to leave. And I was just like, no, I'm really leaving. Even my mom, she thought I was theatrical. She's like, oh, why are you packing? You're not going nowhere. I was like, okay, all right. If y'all don't take me to the airport, I already got my backup lined up. And my mom didn't actually believe I was leaving until I did not come back from check-in. And so I was gone. I didn't make any announcements on Facebook. I didn't make an announcement until I was at the airport. Oh yeah, by the way, guys, I'm moving to another country. Bye. And so, but like I said, for 10 months straight, I didn't take any days off. I didn't really I didn't really spend money on frivolous things. I just really, I had a picture on my phone that had the Union Jack on it, or the British flag, with the word, how bad do you want it? Mm. And that was really my motivation. It pushed me to really how bad do I want it? Every time I want to take off, every time they drove me crazy. They drove me crazy. I pushed myself to get to that point. And I also received a partial scholarship to attend Kingston. And so that helped pay for my accommodation for the first year. Then when I got there, thankfully, everybody always try to clown me because I worked at Build-A-Bear. But
no, you shouldn't be clowned for any job you got. You working, you making money, no matter where.
Yeah. But one of the biggest things is Build-A-Bear is not big enough to completely, but one of the biggest blessings of working at that company and working there for so long is when I left the country, I left with a job. So when I got to England, I had a job there working at Build-A-Bear already lined up for me. And so basically my first year when I got there, I worked, I paid for stuff out of pocket, and I was, figuring my life out. I got involved in student politics. I was a course rep. I got really, really involved when I was out there, to the point where I was helping to run the university. I took a gap year out, and I got paid to really kind of, run the university. I was an officer, what they call sabbatical officer out there. I ended up representing all of the fine arts students at one particular campus, and all students on the board. So I was a board of trustee member for the university. I was part of the National Union of Students when I was out there. I sat on various committees and occupied various spaces. I got to, have conversations with members of parliament. I went to the House of Commons. I've done, I did quite a lot of things when I was out there on top of my art practice. And I developed enough work experience to be able to apply for my PhD program. But while I was out there for a while, touching on 4 years I was out there. Yeah, so that's kind of what got me out there. And I should probably say this. I graduated the valedictorian of my class, and gave the speech for the class, the first master student to do that, from the School of Fine Art.
Wow. First of all, I see exactly why one of the first things to come to Chris's mind when explaining how great you are was determination. Having to walk to work the way that you did, the amount of jobs that you did have in order to get that amount of money, going out there, not knowing anyone when you got there, pushing through that, pushing through enough to keep the grades high enough to be the valedictorian. I am floored right now, and I want to ask you that type of determination, that level of determination, where does that live inside of you? Where did it come from? What did you see? What were you told? What were you not told? Because I know how that works too. To have developed that type of determination, that type of courage. It's just wow.
So for me, it all clicked my sophomore year of college, when I come from don't get it twisted. I mean, they try to be supportive in their own way, but for me as a creative, growing up in the family that I did wasn't the most conducive to my growth and where I needed to go. And so when I was a sophomore in college, like I go to Rowan. It's literally like when I tell you my family was less than a 5-minute walk away from campus. That's how like close they were. Like I had family just pop up on me like multiple times, and I'm just like to the point where my sophomore year, I was like, y'all not gonna know where I live. I'll move myself in. And so my sophomore year, I took a sink or swim trip to England because it was pressing on my heart, and I was really scared that I don't know how to survive in this world on my own. And that is a very scary thought, to believe that I can't survive on my own. And so I was like, okay, bump it. Let's figure it out. Let's do this couch surfing thing. Let's figure it out. And so I scraped up my money together, and I, lined up some hosts, and I bought a ticket to England. Again, family telling me, oh, haven't you seen the movie Taken? Oh my gosh, da, da, da. I'm like, first of all, I'm black. Second of all, ain't nobody gonna take me. Third of all, I don't watch stuff like that because then I'll never do anything. So I got on a plane against everybody. No, you shouldn't go, blah, blah, blah. And of course, I had a layover at Charles de Gaulle. I will never to this day take that airport again. It's like the third largest airport, because the French like to freaking strike all the time. So that being said, they ended up striking, and they ended up changing my flight several times, and I didn't realize it because when they're speaking English, it just sounds like French, and I ended up missing my flight, and I was bawling. I was like, oh my gosh, I got enough money to buy these flights, blah, blah, blah. And I called my family, and they're going off. What? That's why your butt shouldn't have been out there anyway. Da, da, da. The only money I'm going to give you is come back home. I was like, yeah, click. That's what we're not about to do. We're going to figure this out. I don't care if I got boohoo snot. I'm going to find a way. And I did. So the next day, because I was like, it's not my fault. I missed nothing because y'all shouldn't have been striking. It's not y'all going to find me another flight to where I need to go. So after getting a little gangster, they did for the next day, and I was listening. And this is also sidebar to anyone who's still in high school or you still have the mental capacity to do this. Learn another language. You have no idea when it's going to help you, even if you don't, basics of it. The fact that I attempted to speak French and I tried changed my whole situation. Je parle français un peu. Je parlais, mais excusez-moi, j'oubliais beaucoup. Je suis désolée. So that phrase helped me quite a lot. So
what did you just say?
I speak a little French. I'm sorry. I studied it a little bit. I'm sorry, but I forget a lot. I'm sorry. But,
wow.
Je suis Beatrice. Je habitais USA. So just being able to introduce myself and attempting to speak the language helped significantly and made people so much nicer to me than me just speaking English, because when you get into Europe, they don't really care about you if you're American. But I digress. So I took this trip. I made it finally to my host, who I was staying with. And when I got to England, or at least northern England, I found out that the world was nicer, so much kinder than what I was living in.
Than the 3 square miles of Somerdale, Stratford, Magnolia
Yeah.
that you were living in.
Or in
I can
Glasgow.
attest to that.
And when I tell you, I was like, and mind you, when I went to England, I couch surfed in England for 2 weeks. 2 weeks with less than $200 in my pocket. And stayed out there the whole 2 weeks. And when I tell you, I went up and down northern England. So I went from Newcastle to Manchester and back to Newcastle again. And still survived. And went to go see the Eiffel Tower when I was in Paris. So yeah, lovely at night. But for me, that trip was my sink or swim trip. And I swam. And it told me that, you know what? You can do this. Like, if you can make it in a whole 2 other countries, and, stuff, it wasn't easy. It hit the fan. If you can make it in these 2 other countries, you can make it up out of here. And then my biggest thing was I was damn sure not going to stay in New Jersey this whole time. So when I was saving up to go to England for school, it was called my Get Out of Jersey Fund. And that's one of my biggest recommendations I challenge people to do is get out of where you grew up. Do not, you can come back, but you need to go see some other part of the world, of the country.
Or you don't have to come back, but anyway.
I mean, you don't have to, but just even by living abroad, not everyone's probably going to live in England, but just going outside of where you've grown up will expose you to different ideas, to different understandings of the world and how people exist in it, especially if you come from one either end of the spectrum when it comes to socioeconomic class. For me, I grew up living below the poverty line, which you wouldn't think so looking at the school in which I was privileged to go to because of different laws and everything like that. But right. It gave me hope as far as I don't have to live like this all of my life. I don't have to wear hand-me-downs all of my life. I can't tell you just the biggest joy that I had doing these 2 simple things. One, being the first person who wears my clothes. I don't think people realize how much of a privilege that is. The first person to wear these clothes, I bought them. They were bought specifically for me and my interests and my joy and my body. And then 2, the grocery store. I love the grocery store is my favorite store. And it's beautiful to see options. I can't express that enough. When you don't have to just eat generic food, and sometimes I just really just walking down the aisles of a grocery store. It's just I can choose this one. I can choose this one. I can choose all of them or one of them. Unless you grow up without options, something as simple as that represents options for me. The fact that I was accepted to England and I had options when I went, I can't express that to y'all, what that does to a person. And I move and I operate my life to be able to give myself as many options as possible. I graduated with a BA in art, I minored in education, and I have a concentration in Africana studies, and I use all 3 of them. And they have opened up so many doors and options. And then in England, I got my master's or my MFA in fine art, which is a terminal degree. And I did my work experience in education. And I had an overlap with Black students or Black minority ethnic students. So that way I use all 3 of my components of my education. But the biggest thing is I gave myself options. So if I get bored over here, all right, I'm going to go over here. That's why I don't limit myself as an artist. I don't say I'm just a photographer. I don't say I'm just a painter, because I like having options. Yeah. Long-winded way of saying, that trip really opened up and gave me options. And it told me that options exist for me.
There's so much that I want to pull from that and really highlight and really make sure that anyone listening or watching absorbs. 1, count your blessings. Take a second and stop and really think about the fact that everything that has been afforded to you has not been afforded to everyone. Recognize where you are privileged. Recognize the privileges that you do have, because there are some people that have to walk in the rain. There are some people that have to fight. There are some people that don't want to get up in the morning the next day to do the things that they have to do just to be able to say that they have options. You're not one of those people. You clearly, although it took all of the determination, dedication, courage, and strength that it took, you got up despite those circumstances, and you kept working despite those circumstances. So that's the first thing I want to pull. The second thing, and I hadn't shared this with you yet, but after you and I's personal conversation on the phone the other day, the theme of your past not dictating your future. The theme of, while that is my past, I don't have to identify as my past. That has come up in a few conversations for me lately. And then for us to reconnect on the phone, and for you to be open and tell me all that you've been through, and show me where you are today despite your past. I wanted to make sure that this was a theme of our conversation today for the Mirage family. So you've already mentioned so much. I'd like to highlight where you're from, where we're both from. And I would like to ask, based on that area, girl, you are so deep, you are so beautiful. I love it. The things that you dealt with in that particular area that you might feel is specific to that area. You've already said, I went out and I quickly discovered, why was I being treated this way there? But I have moved here and I'm not being treated the same way. What's happening there? What did you have to deal with in the area that you and I are both from? And again, if you want to give me bullet points, maybe for the sake of time, I should say what has been the most impactful, whether it was negative or positive impact, that most impactful experience that truly showed you the true colors of, the South Jersey Sterling School District area.
I'm gonna start by just quickly explaining where we occupy space. So growing up in Somerdale, it's one of the feeder schools that feeds into the big high school, and the Somerdale area is kind of lower middle class. Can go up to middle class, but where I grew up, the majority of the time that I lived there was actually in apartments that were for low income folks. And so it was very weird because I was going to school with very middle class children. But where I went home was not knocking Camden or anything like that, but it was very urban, where I would literally go home. Like my apartment complex was that. And my home was that, without putting anything on blast. And going to school, I went to school with very privileged, whether black, white, whatever, people who didn't. And the older I got, the more I could see those differences. And the more that folks could see those differences, but I didn't understand the impact of those differences, except when I got called out for them.
Right.
Because especially when you don't have a uniform, high school, whatever, you can see who has and who does not. And especially being black, a black girl, Jesus, and the hair and the outfit, like you can tell who has it and who doesn't. And folks are ruthless. So I have a beautiful smile now. I did not until 16. So from the ages of 9 to 16, I was horribly bullied. I had a chipped tooth. I had horrible eczema. I was still trying to figure out the hair thing because I was my mom's change of life baby, and she was just like, "You good? You can figure it out." And so I was mercilessly bullied on all ends by white students, black students, Spanish students. I was just the butt of everybody's joke. And on the negative side, unfortunately, that kind of feeds into why I just kind of get on with what I do. I don't really stop and focus on stuff. I internalize it because I don't have time to do so. If I if I stopped and internalized, even if it's good, the bad will seep in as well.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why now, especially when I'm on my program for my PhD is a very critical program. And to be able to teach critically and understand and interpret the world critically, you have to first understand yourself. And
Amen.
it unlocked a lot of things, a lot of trauma that I went through when I lived in Summerdale, when I lived and went to school, that my brain, for my survival, locked away. Like there are a lot of things that are is coming up now that I'm just like, oh wow, that did happen. Oh wait,
Wow.
that did happen. Oh, that did. Like my brain was just like, all right, no. If you remember this, you're not going to be around. That's how bad and traumatic they were. I mean, did I have good moments? Did I have moments that fed into me and saved me? Absolutely. And that's, I found a home, I found belonging at my church. This is, was popping. I was in praise dance. I did spoken word, which seeped over to when I was in school. I'm very thankful to the amazing art teachers and special teachers who saw potential in me. I can remember a lot more negative than I can with a positive. Thankfully, the positive was meaty enough to sustain me. Because the negative, child, I would never have, I would never have built the foundation to be able to even think about college was an option for me. Y'all, I only applied to 2 schools. Only 2. And it's crazy because now I didn't find out what a GPA was. This should tell you something about our school system.
Right.
Nobody told me what a GPA was until it was too late.
Right.
Like, thankfully, I was in some honors classes, so it wasn't jacked up. But nobody told me, which means y'all didn't think I was worthy enough to get into college. So you didn't tell me important things that I needed to know. And especially, what y'all don't know, I'm actually considered first generation. I'm a first generation student. So therefore, and that, even thinking about that irks my soul, because I only applied to 2 schools because my guidance counselor didn't tell me that, one, I had the grades to get into almost anywhere I could have.
Jesus.
Because I was low income, I didn't have to pay to apply.
And you didn't know any of this, did you?
Nope.
How is it that I was in honors classes and I actually asked, I'll never forget this. I actually asked to be put into an honors AP class, and I had that teacher tell me, oh no, you're not smart enough to be in that class. Yet, mind you, because of my culture, I'm not a snitch, but seeing the folks in honors
they
English,
get stitches. Where we
I should have. But no, seeing the smartest kids and everybody like, oh, they're so great, they're so this, they're so that, cheating right before class. So that was the stuff that just kind of really jacked me up a little bit. And then I also, nobody really explained to me the importance of SATs. Right. Nobody explained to me, because of my background, I could get free PSAT prep. That's the type of stuff that I was just like, yo, I really could, thankfully, I had hedge of protection around me, and, there was purpose, I have a purpose that was going to be carried out regardless, but those things could really set somebody else, are a part of somebody's detriment if you don't show them. Because if you're first generation, you're first in your family to get to this level, you don't know what you don't know. And then folks are getting paid all this money in these schools to not help you.
Terrible. So,
but that's kind of like the bigger bureaucracy part of it. And then, so that's kind of, I'll stick with that. As far as, unfortunately, I don't feel as though there was enough sensitivity when we were in school of, hey, what is bullying? What does it actually look like? Hey, what does it look like to see people from different social economic statuses occupy the same space? And yeah, that was a big thing. Again, in spite of all of it, I was able to get through it. But I'm not gonna lie, looking back at it, there are some people who I thought were friends that I'll look, okay, and then never try to reconnect with, ever. Because
they showed their true colors.
Oh yeah, but I had too much of a kind heart to really want to see that in them, or really could comprehend that in people.
Yes.
So yeah, it was a lot. Um,
I understand.
but I mean, it's made me a stronger person, and also as an educator, I know what to look for in my own students, because I've gone through it and I can see the signs now.
Wow. Powerful. There's a greater purpose in everything that you went through. Look at the amount of lives. Look at how many lives you will change for the better because you can recognize when someone is going through something like that. Isn't that crazy? When you're down, when you're at the bottom, asking why me? And it takes how many years to answer that question? Years later, if you think about baby Beatrice being at the bottom, wondering why in the world do I have to go through this? And fast forward to who you are today, and you're just like, I went through this so that I can look at this student and know that their lives need to be changed for the better.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure. I mean, all right, let me start saying it like that. Like, I'm sure if I could go back and talk to my former self in high school, like
Mm.
that one, I would talk to myself after I did some more working out, just a little bit. Like, I want to judge myself, be like, what happened? But nah, I think my former self will be like, your mouth is fixed. We're good. We're good. We're good. Like that.
Wow.
No, because what y'all, okay, something
I
that,
get it. Yeah, go ahead.
no, but I don't think a lot of people realize I didn't smile until I got my teeth fixed. I didn't smile until 16. Like, I don't have my pictures from high school before that. I did not smile in pictures. Like, my family told me, do not smile in pictures. They were not going to pay for those pictures. That type of stuff.
See,
The
that
only
adds a
smile,
whole nother dynamic. I was ready to speak on, like, I didn't want to because of how insecure I felt about my teeth. But then when you add the dynamic of my family told me don't, what?
yeah, I mean, and then the other part of it, like, the only time you would see me smile is, oh, hold on, I gotta do
Yes,
that was
queen.
my smile.
Do it.
But now I hate that smile. Like, that's not me. I am a
Right.
like, when my dentist fixed my teeth when I was 16, in time for my sweet 16, or I didn't even have a sweet 16. I actually, because money was tight, I didn't have a sweet 16. I actually asked my family to save up any money that they would have given to me for a party to actually pay off band camp.
Wow. Awesome.
Um, and that's another thing. Like, in band, like, I didn't think they realized how much I sacrificed to even be present. So, but going back to the smile thing, when my dentist fixed my smile and I could actually take my pictures, like, I went back and I gave my dentist my graduation picture so he could have, because that was the first time I actually, like, smiled
In
in a
years.
picture. Yeah.
Wow.
So, um, but folks, yeah, just this little stuff like that. Like, people are like, oh, I want to see you. Oh, let's see pictures of you when you're younger. No.
Mm.
Um, yeah, there's
Wow.
like a brief time period. There's no pictures of me.
Right, right.
So yeah.
So there's something I wanted to ask you specifically, and I'm excited to hear your take on it. There's a generation of adults that looks at the momentum that the topic of mental health has gained. They look at the way that it has come to the forefront. They see us, people who are our age, a little bit older, a little bit younger. They see us wanting to do the work, wanting to highlight and dissect our own mental health for the sake of getting better. And there are groups of people that kind of scoff at that. Right now I'm going to let me zoom in a little bit more. I'm going to speak more on bullying. There are groups of people that will hear the conversation that you and I are having or that we are about to have. And we're speaking on, this is what I went through. This is how it affected me, regardless of whether or not I was 8 years old, 12 years old, 16 years old, 21 years old. It doesn't matter. This is something that impacted and changed who I am today. There's a group of people that will say, get over it. You're fine. There's a group of people that will say, you're too sensitive. It shouldn't have impacted you that way. What do we say to those people? How do we trudge through that conversation?
So before I even respond to them, I actually analyze their life, because you're going to have a different perspective based off the privilege in which you have been exposed to.
Hmm.
So yes, there are different forms of bullying that manifest and take hold of a person in different socioeconomic statuses, different cultures, and everything like that. So if I'm going to look at it culturally, um, yeah, we as black people or people of color, we say this all the time. Oh, it's to toughen you up. It's you need to thicken some of your skin. No, there's a line. There's a line between when you're just chiding with me, when you're just joking around, and you're cutting me. You're giving me a complex about myself. There's a line.
Hmm.
There is a line where between, okay, you're messing around and you're calling out things that I have no control over, such as my looks or such as, my finances, especially when you're a child. A lot of folks don't understand, like, I whether you're studying psychology or the development of the brain, especially for children, it's called your formative years for a reason. For a reason. So, you are forming who you are and your personality and your understanding of the world permanently.
Yeah.
You form that by age 12. So everything that happens to a person by the time they are 12 helps shape
Mm.
their personality for the rest of their life. So if you feed trauma into that person, this is where you're going to see, especially as an adult, this person having mental illness, because trauma breeds that. You're not just born with mental illness. You can develop it through sustained trauma. And if you've been sustaining
Mm.
trauma from earlier than 12, all and you don't
Mm.
if you don't take the time to heal that, all it's going to do is just manifest and snowball and get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and become a part of
Wow.
your personality.
And then, God forbid, you're in an environment where no one is telling you that this trauma can be dealt with
Yep.
or
Like
healed.
exactly, like for me, how it developed, like you just listed all the great things I've accomplished and everything like that, but it's difficult for me to accept praise because to survive in an environment, and mind you, this was, the where we grew up was supposed to be a great school system, all this other stuff, but to survive, especially being different, because there are very few black kids in the classes that I was
Yeah.
in, and then on top of that I was darker skinned, which means that was even more contrast to what existed in that school. Then on top of that I had a chipped tooth, and I had visible eczema, and my hair was big and poofy. You could see me, there's no hiding. There was absolutely no hiding. And I developed a complex over that because of the fact that, like, I attack myself before other children attacked me. So
Right.
I would rather, oh, Beatrice, oh, oh, what you gonna say? I got chip tooth. Oh, you want some dip with those chips? Like, I would do it myself because it would shut them down. And I did it so much that that became my internal voice and my internal description of myself for, I'm not going to age myself, for over 2 decades. That's how it starts. That's how you have a low self-esteem. That's how it starts. Like, that's how you have a toxic understanding of yourself and body image, because that's my internal voice to develop negatively as a survival mechanism, because if I say it to myself, it won't cut as bad as if I have a gang of people saying it to me on a
Yeah.
regular, consistently. Like, we forget that school isn't just, oh, you're just going to school for a couple hours, blah, blah. No, it's
Right.
every single day. For how many years? I can't do that mental math.
For how many years? For how many hours? Right.
That you're sustaining that, and teachers can only do so much. They don't hear everything, they don't catch everything,
Right.
and they're not occupying the same spaces as we are all the time. And
Yeah.
so, like, you can have the best teacher with the best intentions, but she's not going to be in the bathroom with you as two girls are picking
Right.
on you. They're not walking home with you. They're not, like, there's a lot of hidden spaces in a person's school day that act as conduits for bullying, or act as conduits
Absolutely.
for for misabuse. And so, going back to the whole trauma thing, if you sustain enough trauma before the age of 12, that significantly impacts you in the development of your brain and how you understand and interpret things. So much so that I know most people have heard of the term fight or flight. when
Yeah.
you are consistently sustaining trauma for that long, and especially if you grow up in a household where you're just in trauma, you're always
Yeah.
in fight or flight mode, always. And that completely dictates how you respond and understand and interpret things, even basic things as people being too close to you, or people, not
Right.
responding to you in a way like it. You're constantly in that mode until you learn how to not be. And a lot of times, a lot of us don't until you see somebody that has that peace.
Right. Right.
So going back to your initial question of what do I say to the person that says, "Oh, get over it." Well, I need to know what what environment you grew up in, because I I'm not going to take your words to heart, because you have no understanding of anything that I have ever went through. Please, the things I let people know are literally the tip of the iceberg to what I've really gone through. So therefore, why am I internalizing something that are your shallow words? Because you don't know me. You don't know the multiple things I've been through, and I also don't know you, and I don't
Right.
know what has led you to think and believe that this doesn't matter,
Right.
or what privileges that you occupy to believe that life is all sunshine and roses. Because I
Mm.
had this conversation quite a lot with some folks
Right.
that I love dearly, but I just say I agree to disagree, because I'm also very thankful that you are not in a position of influence in the way that
Mm.
I am.
Wow. Very well worded.
And
Mm.
I'll leave it at that. Like, that's your opinion, and thank you for expressing it. I have um my understanding of things backed by facts, and this is the wonderful thing about being a forever student. I can pull up article upon article upon article upon article,
Right.
just in case. Let me send you this. Let me send you this. This person a doctorate. This person, yeah. But anyway, not being
Wow.
that person if
And
I
and the
wanna.
people that right and the people that came to mind when I asked that question, they are people that absolutely have endured childhood trauma. Trauma beyond the childhood, and if anyone needed for their mental health to be a priority, it would be the same folks that had that perspective of don't lean on that, that's a crutch, you're fine. These are the people that worked their way out of having to care for their own mental health. And, they just took on 3 and 4 jobs and created a fast paced life where they could be distracted and not focus on their trauma and the things that could be healed. And
But
this unfortunately can become about socioeconomic status or cultural background as well. It's a
but the thing
vicious
of
cycle.
but the thing about that is, you can run for as long as you think you can, but it's gonna catch up to you.
Mm,
It's gonna catch up to you, and when it does, it's gonna hit hard.
right.
And you're either going to have the skills to deal with it, or be able to understand, you know what, I need to go seek help,
Yeah.
or your pride is going to get in your way. And that is why we have such a high amount of successful people who, when they get into these positions, when they reach a certain level of success, unfortunately they're committing suicide. Unfortunately, they are seeking other outlets to handle this stress, handle this loneliness, handle this trauma, because now you have, like, you chase the dream, you have the house, you have the kid, like, you have all
Right.
of this. Why do you not feel fulfilled? Or why is something that's supposed to bring you joy and happiness setting something off? And so that's why you see this occur and happen. And trust me, I didn't have my moment. I was running, running, and it caught up to me like, oh, okay, I can't just keep suppressing this. I can't just keep just I can't just keep putting it down. Like, it's gonna come back up, and it's gonna be embarrassing, and it's gonna come back up in a location that I don't want it to happen. That's why you see all
Wow.
those scenes in movies where they have breakdowns at work, or they're in the shower just with the running, and
Out of nowhere. Right.
because you're not handling it, or you're not seeking the skills. And that's also a shift in our generation, and understanding how to take care of ourselves,
Right.
especially because our generation, we're not having children right away.
Yeah.
So we're having more time to really
Ooh, good point.
think about ourselves.
Wow. Because you brought it up, I have to make sure that everyone's aware of the Lifeline for the National Suicide Prevention Organization. and that is 800-273-8255. That is the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. Queen, who saved
What to
your
do?
life?
Oh, Jesus. But definitely I will say it was a string of people. So one, I will definitely say going to the church that I did and meeting wonderful dance teacher Miss Holiday. She was a
You
wonderful.
went to holiday dance?
No, I was a praise
Oh, oh, oh,
dance.
oh, oh.
I was a praise dancer for Miss
Yes.
Holiday at Bethany, and then I also
Okay.
helped her at Holly Dance as well.
Nice.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
she's one of them. In school, middle school, it was definitely Mr. Bayard. He recognized that I had artistic skills. He was an art teacher, and honestly, I'm very blessed and fortunate that I even had exposure to a Black art teacher because even now, it made such a pivotal moment for me and planting the seed that Black people can occupy other spaces in creative, especially in creativity. Then there was in high school, Mr. Kelsey, Miss Miss Morgan, and oh my gosh, this is so embarrassing. She was the other art teacher, Miss Mescali. Whew, I was about to Miss Mescali. Honestly, if it wasn't for Miss Mescali, I would not have had a portfolio or even known that I needed to make an art portfolio to go and get into school. So if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have these degrees. I would be at Rowan. I wouldn't be where I am. Mr. Kelsey, that man in high school, that man saved my life.
Tell me about him. I just talked about him in my interview the other night. So when you mentioned him on the phone the other day, I was like, "Ooh, she gets it."
Yeah, you know what's crazy? He never officially taught me. Like I was always in honors English.
Wow. Yes. He wasn't
Yeah.
even your teacher. Tell me about any lives that you know that you have saved or that you are saving.
I don't know about saving life. I ain't that like special, but um,
Okay, because you
but
probably are doing so.
no, I mean, I just believe in sewing into people, because
Amen.
I wouldn't be here without people sewing into me, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend like
Mm.
I would be. And so whenever I can pay it forward, whenever I can make time to do so. So currently, one of my mentees, she's getting into modeling, so you'll probably see her on my page a lot.
Yep.
And then another one of my mentees, she ended up helping to run like inclusive curriculum
Mm-hmm.
consultants out there. So I helped her in that kind of way, but I say helped because she's amazing and she did quite a lot by herself. Then I had another mentee who I taught when I was in undergrad. I started briefly for 2 summers or 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
I ran a art camp for about how long? For about 8 weeks, eight nine
Yeah.
weeks. So I ran an art
Nice.
camp, and two of my students decided to go to art, and they used some of the things that we did in our class to create a portfolio.
Right.
Um, and so I kept in touch with her as she went to get her bachelor's and stuff like that. And
Mm-hmm.
actually, I'll be talking to her later tonight. Um,
Nice.
and her brother as well is getting his bachelor's in illustration, I believe. Don't quote me on that.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Mm-hmm.
and she has hers in graphic design. So it's helpful to be, help help others and pay it forward in that way. Especially like Chris said, I'm for the culture. So I'm for
I'm glad
everyone.
you brought that up because that's the next point I wanted to speak on. I'm
Go for
excited
it.
to speak more on your art. So I want to bring everything full circle. Talk about that long list that we started the interview with and your many, many talents, accomplishments, and capabilities. I could try some of the style of art that you do, but I ain't gonna be capable the way that you capable. Okay? Mine ain't gonna look like yours. So the intersection of your culture, your racial background,
Mhm.
and your art. Your voice is clearly needed, especially at this time. How would you speak on the intersection of those two things?
First thing I would say about myself, um, in in my program, and whenever you're writing or anything like that, you usually frame what you're about to say through something called a theoretical framework, which is applying theory to your concept and tying it into a bigger, broader understanding of what's happening in the world and the perspective in which you're going to take. So for me, my central theoretical framework or
Mm-hmm.
the theory that really drives me is Black feminist thought and Black feminist theory. Black feminist thought was written by Patricia Hill Collins. Black feminist theory is the main one, which is understanding the ways in which the world has decided to denigrate, to
Mm,
denounce, and put down
mm,
Black women.
mm.
And so the center of my work, especially currently, but it's always going to be that,
Right.
is to uplift Black women. Especially Malcolm X said it best: the most unprotected person in America is the Black
Right.
woman. And so it first has to start with who I am. I'm a Black woman, and especially I am an ebony Black woman, meaning I have darker skin. And what I've noticed is not even just from my own experiences, but just observation,
Yeah.
is that our beauty standards, the way we operate, the way we treat folks. Like right now, it's kind of in to be dark skin, melanin popping, all that other stuff,
Mm.
but it wasn't always the case.
Oh,
And
not at all.
oh gosh, no. And right now, my art helps to really kind of counteract those negative
Yeah.
archetypes in which we still internalize, we still subconsciously manifest with how we treat Black women, our understandings. And when I say we, I also mean myself,
Yeah.
and trying to unlearn all of these things that we've been fed.
Mm. Deep.
And so with my art, I really try to educate through a beautiful aesthetic. So especially with Black women. Now, as a whole, my artwork is really to bring back not even just positive representation of Blackness, but to break up the monolithic understanding of Blackness. And what I mean by monolithic, I mean, what does mono have in it? One, the one definition that we try to ascribe to Blackness.
Yeah.
My goal is to break that up. So right now, I may seem earthy, whatever. The next week, this is a big hint. You might see me with elf ears. I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Right now, you might not be able to see it. I have green heron. I have blue heron. I might have purple.
Right.
I might have yellow. Like I really did have like bright lime green at one point.
Yeah.
But like I'm tired of people telling me no, I can't do something. Oh no,
Right.
photographers don't do this. Oh no, people don't do this. Oh no. Oh, okay. That's why Black people are the Black people that you know, or you, this Black person, aren't doing that. I'm gonna go do it because I said I want to do it. So
Right.
you can stay in your little box if you want, but not all Black people do that.
Amen.
And so my work really kind of challenges that. Like you're gonna
Mm-hmm.
tell me, oh, boys don't stand with flowers. Oh, they don't. Oh, what do you think about this picture
I
here?
have one right here. Right.
Like,
Amen.
oh, Black women, oh, it's supposed to just be voluptuous. Oh, really? So you're gonna tell me she's not pretty? Oh, Black women are supposed to. Oh, this is the reason why Black women don't have men. No, the reason Black women
Right.
or the Black women that don't have you as a man is because we have higher standards. Oh, okay. See, you see how the narrative is different when you get the full
Exactly.
picture.
Right.
But that was a direct
You're
jab.
fine. Don't say sorry. You're good.
But I
Mhm.
say like my art is here to, one, the biggest thing is to acknowledge the elephant in the room.
Mm.
And a lot of times we as Black women are the elephant. So I'm tired of having to be aggressive for you to have a conversation.
Mm.
And I'm tired of seeing the negative archetypes of us being perpetuated and what we understand as beauty. So, I mean, my work is more so to uplift, but first and foremost, like I said, it's going through Black women, and also, the biggest annoyance. I'm tired of seeing, especially in photography, that
Mhm.
the more like the only way to be successful is to not show Black skin. Or I've been told multiple times in multiple countries, oh, you're limiting yourself by only focusing on Black people or only working with Black people. But yet, I see many people in the industry only work with white people. So I'm making it a point of making sure that my page has nothing but beautiful, gorgeous Blackness in all of its shades, all of its forms. And I'm also trying to grow and just honestly have fun.
Yes. Yes.
And also change the narrative. So you might see some things that's just like, yo, that looks like it's a painting, or it looks like, oh, is this like the 1800s? Yeah, because sometimes I really
You're
just sit
doing
and think.
art the way that Beatrice Carey wants to do art, and that's it. You don't
Yeah.
have to explain yourself. There's no questions asked. This is you,
Oh.
the individual. This is you, your specific past, your specific beliefs that you're putting into your art.
Yeah, and I'm not here to do it in a fetishizing way.
You better. You
So, because I'm, yeah.
That would be another interview for another day. When we ask all those people out.
Call me. Uh,
Listen,
so,
I'm flattered to be sitting next to you digitally right now because it's clear that you are a path. What's the word I'm looking for? Trailblazer. It's clear that you are a trailblazer. It's clear that you are a path maker. It's clear that you are setting standards. Oof. It's clear that you are being such a phenomenal example for young artists, upcoming artists, budding artists, artists that aren't quite sure what path they want to take right now. Beatrice says, well, the first and foremost path to take would be the genuine one, the one that is genuine to you and your spirit and who you want to be, what you want to embody, what you want to personify as an artist. Being true
yeah.
to yourself sounds like a huge key right now.
And I'm also going to say this. If you want to go to school for art, go to school for art. I cannot stress this enough. Like, I'm tired of people saying, oh, I can just learn it on YouTube University.
Yeah.
No, you don't know what
Right.
you don't know. But the biggest thing is, um, because we as a culture sometimes, and I say we as a culture, meaning different ethnic groups, don't value going to school for arts. And I say plural, whether it's dance, whether it's music, whether it's
Yeah.
fine art. And we are limiting ourselves as a people. This is why we are not occupying higher level spaces in the creative industries, not just a production level of I'm going to
Right.
make this and sell it. No,
Yeah.
there
Wow.
are
Wow. That's a great point.
yeah, there are managerial positions, there are curatorial positions, there are positions for those who have a creative mind but don't know how to execute it in a creative way. Like, for example, curation. And I cannot stress this enough. If you take nothing home for me, like a curator is a big fancy word for someone who organizes either receptions, which is another word for parties, and is the boss of how a space will look. They take care of the artwork. They chase down everything. So if you can you can host and plan a whole event, you have the baseline skills to be able to go into
Yeah. To
curation.
curate. Right. Right. Right.
And so these are the conversations we're not having because we don't value the foundational steps needed to get into these spaces. And
Right.
that's sometimes that is the degree. And so, but that's my little spiel. But the other side of it is it doesn't hurt you to get that piece of paper. Yeah, it's a little
Mhm.
expensive, but
Mhm.
it's better to go for what you want to do and what you love with all of your passion, because if you do not quench your passion and actually follow where it's going to take you,
Right.
it's well worth it. Because if I would have listened to other people that told me, oh, you're not going to make any
Mm.
money off of art, you're not going to do
Mm.
anything with that, I would have never lived in another country. I wouldn't be in this space right now. I wouldn't be pursuing my doctorate if I had
Mm.
went to school for what everybody else told me I should be doing, or told me to go into the degrees or the fields that make money. I would be absolutely freaking miserable. And I keep seeing creatives who are miserable because they're listening to the wrong people about allowing their
Wow.
passion to center and drive them into their purpose and where they are supposed to be in their life. And that's
Right.
why they are doing this stuff after the fact. Yes, I started out being a self-taught artist, but keywords, I started out.
Right.
And sometimes going to school and have this extra backing helps to center and focus you. Again, there are two sides to every story. There are some people that, yes, they don't need a degree to be successful because they have other skills that help support that decision, meaning networking. They
Mm.
are
Mhm.
sociable, they're interpersonal,
Right.
and they have exposure to the right people that's going to send them into the path that they
Mhm.
need to have things aligned for them. But
Right.
most folks now that we can mention, that we have the big names, Kehinde Wiley, what is it called? The folks who did the other woman who did Michelle Obama's portrait. Her name is
Mm.
drawing a blank at the moment, but
No, you're fine.
like all these other people that we can really name, Carrie James Marshall, like other Black artists or other artists of color who are occupying and moving these spaces, they went to school for it
Yeah.
and they are making moves. And I get it. You don't have to always go to school to make a path for yourself or a name for yourself. But if you don't come from a family that values and supports arts, but if you are not self motivated, but if you are not willing to move to another location to put yourself in the best situation to
Right.
dwell and exist and flourish, but if you don't know what you're doing in your life, but you know you love art,
Right.
you but need to go to school. Sorry, I had to say that because that was my whole. Because I don't want people to be
Well,
like,
listen, my next question was going to be, to round to a close, I want to not leave anything on the cutting room floor. What else do you want to say? What else do you want our audience of about 600 people to hear? What else do you want to be known for? What else, but what you just said was amazing. But beyond that, it was also true. I mean, and like you said, you have a mentee, so anyone, I'm sure you wouldn't mind entertaining the opportunity of answering some questions for folks that truly don't know where to turn,
yeah.
where to go next. I know for me, money becomes the concern, flat like that, plain and simple. Where do I go to get the grants or the this or the that or the loans or the blah blah blah?
Money is always gonna be an issue,
Always the concern, right?
always. But honestly, and it's gonna sound really jacked up, but I'm still gonna say it. If you live your passion, everything else is gonna fall in line.
Mm.
Like I can't stress that enough. Like you really need to live it. Like again, like I said, you know how many people told me you're not gonna like. What are you gonna do with this art thing? What are you gonna
And
like?
you're like, you
You.
have no idea how passionate I am about it. Just freaking sit back and watch.
But again, like I couldn't even have if you told me that at the beginning of my bachelor's degree or when I finished high school that your art would take you to live in another country. I would have been like, "What? Nah, me? You should have still on doing." But uh, but like I said, living my passion and
Yeah.
speaking my truth, living it and believing it. Now I don't believe all the compliments, but believing my truth.
How you gonna believe your truth and then not believe somebody else's truth?
No, but there's one thing I always start out by saying, like one thing I know. I know in my heart of hearts nobody can convince me otherwise because I say it all the time. It's the first thing I say when people ask me to introduce myself after my name, sometimes before my name. After my name. How did I introduce myself? I am a practicing artist. That is the one thing I have been saying since age 12. I
Wow.
am an artist. I am
Since
a
12.
practicing, yeah. I am a practicing artist. I'm not just an artist. I am a practicing artist. I have gone through hell and high water to be able to be an artist who's not just proficient in one thing or two things. And this is something I live and I breathe. You look at me and you can say, you know what? Yeah, I believe that. Not just how I talk, not how I speak, but who I am. I will never stop putting color in my hair. So any future employers listening, I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my ish. But that's my favorite line of quote.
Amen.
But my biggest thing
It's
is
so
I
good.
but I can't stress this enough. Like when I applied to my PhD program, I am getting a PhD in education, specialization, urban and diverse learning environments. At no point in time did I say art.
Wow.
I am an artist, a practicing artist in a strictly education program. When I applied to this program, I told them, I'm an artist. You don't need to teach me art. You need to teach me other things that I can add and couple and make my art stronger and my research stronger. So when I leave this program, I am going to be an arts based methodologist. It sounds all fancy, but I'm going to use art to help conduct research and also display it in public scholarship. I say this because knowing who I am, even though it is difficult, even though I cry, even though I mean, like, I don't fit, but
Yeah,
knowing
you
who,
do.
no, but knowing that one truth with all of my heart, and I don't just say believing, I say knowing that
Uh-huh.
truth with all of my heart, even when folks are trying to tell me things that are trying to sway me off my path, it still centers me. It grounds me. It heals me. It helps me.
Mm.
It directs me all at all points when I get lost. That I say this all the time. God and art. I literally have a shirt that says art saved my life.
Mm.
And I can't stress that enough. So I say it from the standpoint of once you live your passion and it exudes out very clear,
Right.
that it guides and orders your steps. Like, I know I was put on this earth to be an artist, whether I want to manifest it in a visual format, whether I want to manifest it in my speech, because I did spoken word for quite some time, whether I want to express it in dance, because I used to praise dance quite a lot at different churches. But I'm an artist.
Yeah.
That's what God has put on my heart to be, and I'm gonna live it, and I'm not going to let anyone's doubts or their fears or their insecurities on what my possibilities can be stop me from living out my passion. And once you understand that, everything else will follow.
Mm.
People will want to help you because they see your passion. They want to be a part of your story. And I can't tell you how many times that has occurred where I'm just like, yo, you don't know me from a can of paint. But they're like, yo, I see your work. I see what you do. And I'm like, how y'all watching me like this? What's going on? But again,
Or
live your
like I said to
passion.
you while we were in the art fair in the gym of our high school, and your artwork stood out amongst the rest, even though we weren't friends and I didn't know who you were. I looked at your artwork and I saw your little tiny signature in the corner and said, Beatrice Carey, who is that? Because this piece is amazing. So, yes, that was just my little like, cha-ching. You're absolutely right about that one.
Look, when I tell you, I like, there are so many people that are talking to me now. They're like, oh my gosh, I remember you in high school. I was
Do you really now?
but not even just high school, but like when I was in England, like when I even in here, my program, folks are like, oh my gosh, you really inspired me. I'm just like, I just cry
Right.
a lot. Like, just, or no, because like I'm theatrical. I know that, but bring it back to focus. You never know who is watching you, who is who's going to be put in your path to help you, to learn from you, to get inspired by you. To like, you never know who's connected to you. My godfather, you probably know him, Jay. Um, my godfather used to say this. I'm probably going to jumble it up, but one thing that always stuck out to him, I'm Christian, and so is he. He's a minister. He told me the story of, he doesn't want to get to heaven and look down and see all the lives that were attached to him and him
Mm.
following his calling, and his purpose, and he would have ignored his purpose,
Mm.
and therefore have affected all of those people.
Mm.
And that has always stuck with me, as far as, yo, I don't even realize who's watching me. So look,
You don't even realize who
um,
loves you.
yeah, don't,
We can keep going full circle to this
yeah,
compliment thing. You don't even realize who's out here thinking so highly of you, or like you're saying right now, impacted by your work and your every move.
yeah. And going back to what I was saying, like, when you really live your purpose, when you really live your passion, despite the limitations that other people are trying to set on you, and
Yeah.
again, love our family, but especially if you come from an ethnic minority group, unless we
Yeah.
see it or we see examples, close examples, we don't believe it can be done for the next generation.
Right.
Especially because they've seen you through your different stages, and they've only seen you in one setting, so they don't see how you act outside of them. And a lot of times they place limitations on you and your capabilities, unfairly assessing what you can do or you cannot do.
Right. Right.
So again, you're gonna hear me say this a thousand times, when you are really living your purpose and passion, not just speaking it, but really living it, making steps, even if it's sacrifices to get to it, to move forward to it,
Mm.
things are gonna fall in line. Because like I said, when I said nope, I'm switching my major from art education. This is what I'm doing. I'm going to be an artist. I don't want to go down this path of just being trained to be an art educator in K through 12.
Right.
I want to be an artist. I want to be a studio artist. I want to learn it all. I want to do it all. And I I still can't. Like honestly, sometimes when I talk to people, they're like, "You did this and that." I'm like, "Oh yeah, I did do that. Oh yeah." Like,
Mm-hmm. Right.
but when you're living it, like really living it,
It doesn't feel like work. It doesn't feel like a hassle.
no. And also, like I said, you don't know who's gonna be there to support you because they can see your passion, not just you talking about it, not just you talking to talk, but you're not faith without works is dead. You're not you're you're not that person. Like your work is moving along with your faith.
Right.
There might be some times where you're running out of gas and that faith is pulling you along until you can get the works to match up. But it's a constant, it goes hand in hand. Like I've learned to have faith in my abilities. I've learned to have faith in my ability to live out, breathe out, embody my passion.
Mm.
And again, my purpose fuels my passion. So,
You mentioned being theatrical earlier. You mentioned something about crying, and I want you to know that within the last few minutes, I have absolutely almost ended up in tears because of I'm thinking about
oh,
I'm
you go,
thinking
baby.
about I'm thinking about myself, but also thinking about the many people that are hearing your words right now or need to hear your words right now. The people that, for whatever reason, are stuck outside of their passion and purpose together, apparently is pappas. The people that are stuck outside of their purpose, outside of their passion. It might feel like it is at arm's length and in reach, but there's something that is stopping them, whether it be something mental, something physical, something financial. The people that are listening right now that heard everything you just said and everything I'm saying in this moment, you can do it. You can go get it. You can go be it. You can work that ounce harder. You can believe that ounce more in yourself. You can step into, looking for help, asking questions, finding your biggest supporters, finding accountability partners. You can voice, you know what, even though this is the profession that I have been in for insert word here years, I'm ready to step out. I have not been doing what I'm passionate about. I have not been walking in my purpose. It's time for me to go do that. This conversation and what I'm saying right now is exactly why this podcast exists. Because there was one person in my life that when I stopped and sat down and talked to that man, he spoke to who I was. He spoke to what my purpose was. He spoke to the things I was passionate about. And he spoke to who he knew I could become. So these conversations are me sitting with people that I know can and will do that for whoever listens to them. And you have been that person today. And everything you just said was so powerful. Like, if you listened to that and you weren't walking in your passion, you better start when you wake up tomorrow.
But I will be remiss if I didn't at least leave you with how to start.
Do
And
it.
when I was in high school, I was trying to figure out what's the path I wanted to go. And I asked myself a simple question. What is something I could see myself being happy doing for the rest of my life?
Mm.
And I really thought on it for a while, or as long as I could, in high school before, we're going into our final year. And I said art. And so sometimes as simple as checking in with yourself,
Yes.
what makes me happy? What could sustain me in my happiness to develop into joy doing every single day? What makes me happy? And a lot of folks, it's okay if it takes some time to figure it out. And even if you started on a whole nother path for money, make a plan. Okay, this makes me happy. You know what? I think cooking makes me happy. All right. How much does it take for classes? All right. How long do I have to work this job to save up to be okay so I can transition into what's going to make me happy? Like
Right.
I'm a big picture person, so I look at the big picture. What do I want to do? And then I order my steps. I look at the small steps it takes, in 6 months, a year, a month, today, next week. What do I need to do to get to this big picture? And so that helps me kind of order myself a little bit. I'm a big picture person. So, what makes you happy? And what could you see yourself doing and genuinely being happy doing for the rest of your life?
And now go take baby steps in that direction.
Yep.
Amen. Amen and Ashe. Girl, to say that I'm moved would be an understatement.
I don't know why. I just talk.
Like, look at how hard you know. Your voice is powerful. And when a voice is powerful, it's because of the experiences and the feelings that are backing that voice up, right? Look at how much hard work you've done. And look at the things that you have been through that have led you to speaking and saying exactly what you just said. Girl.
I'm a Taurus. I get through it. I plow through it.
Yes, plow through, Taurus. I'm so grateful for you, and I'm really excited to continue to speak and exchange. And, you know, we mentioned photography stuff and videography stuff, and when I'm home, I'm going to be letting you know because, you know, we've grown so far beyond our high school years, and it's just been a pleasure to be able to kind of like loop back and reconnect to someone from so long ago. But look at where we are, look at, you know, how we are doing. And I'm just extremely grateful for this open door and everything beyond it. You know, you're amazing. And thank you for trusting me to like have you come on the show. Like we had one reunion conversation and you were just like, "Oh, you got a podcast? Sure, I'll come on and talk about whatever you want." Like you could have been like, "Wait, let me check it out first." She didn't even ask to check it out first.
No, I mean, I pay attention to stuff. I scroll a lot on social media.
Okay, good. So you knew that I was going to ask you to come on here and be your inspirational self.
I ain't know about the word inspirational. You take what you get, but you know, I'll scroll through and be like, all right, she ain't trying to ambush me or nothing.
I'm so happy and excited for you. I mentioned this to you on the phone, but just to reiterate, like this means support from here on out never stops. So keep me posted. Let me know what you're up to. I will be asking. I will be paying attention on social media. I will be keeping in touch, staying connected. I'm excited overall to continue to just get to know you. And shout out to us having these similar roots, man. Like, it's very refreshing. Oh, I like this. What are these?